Chapter 24. Babylon controls Jehoiakim. In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. Yahweh sent against him bands of the Chaldeans, and bands of the Syrians, and bands of the Moabites, and bands of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by his servants, the prophets. Surely at the commandment of Yahweh came this on Judah, to remove them out of his sight, for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did, and also for the innocent blood that he shed. For he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, and Yahweh would not pardon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim, and all that he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? Jehoiakim's evil reign in Judah. So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiakim his son reigned in his place. The king of Egypt didn't come again out of his land any more, for the king of Babylon had taken from the brook of Egypt to the river Euphrates all that pertained to the king of Egypt. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. He did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that his father had done. Deportation to Babylon. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up to Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to the city, while his servants were besieging it. And Jehoiakim, king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother, and his servants, and his princes, and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. He carried out there all the treasures of the house of Yahweh, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold, which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of Yahweh, as Yahweh had said. He carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes, and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen, and the smiths. None remained, except the poorest sort of the people of the land. He carried away Jehoiakim to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the chief men of the land carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon, all the men of might, even 7,000, and the craftsmen, and the smiths, 1,000, all of them strong and apt for war. Even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon. The king of Babylon made Mattaniah, Jehoiakim's father's brother, king in his place, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah, king of Judah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. He did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of Yahweh did it happen in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out from his presence. Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. Chapter 25. Nebuchadnezzar besieges Jerusalem. It happened in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and encamped against it, and they built forts against it, around it. So the city was besieged to the 11th year of King Zedekiah. On the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine was severe in the city, so that there was no bread for the people of the land. Then a breach was made in the city, and all the men of war fled by night by the way of the gate between the two walls, which was by the king's garden. Now the Chaldeans were against the city around it. And the king went by the way of the Arabah. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. And all his army was scattered from him. Then they took the king, and carried him up to the king of Babylon, to Riblah, and they gave judgment on him. They killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him in fetters, and carried him to Babylon. The temple destroyed. Now in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babylon, to Jerusalem. He burnt the house of Yahweh, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, even every great house burnt he with fire. All the army of the Chaldeans, who were with the captain of the guard, broke down the walls around Jerusalem. The residue of the people who were left in the city, and those who fell away, who fell to the king of Babylon, and the residue of the multitude, did Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carry away captive. But the captain of the guard left of the poorest of the land to work the vineyards and fields. The pillars of brass that were in the house of Yahweh, and the bases, and the bronze sea that were in the house of Yahweh, did the Chaldeans break in pieces, and carried the brass of them to Babylon. The pots, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the spoons, and all the vessels of brass with which they ministered, took they away. The firepans, and the basins, that which was of gold, in gold, and that which was of silver, in silver, the captain of the guard took away. The 2 pillars, the 1 sea, and the bases, which Solomon had made for the house of Yahweh, the brass of all these vessels was without weight. The height of the 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and a capital of brass was on it, and the height of the capital was 3 cubits, with network and pomegranates on the capital around it, all of brass. And like to these had the 2nd pillar, with a network. The captain of the guard took Seraiah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah, the 2nd priest, and the 3 keepers of the threshold. And out of the city he took an officer who was set over the men of war, and 5 men of those who saw the king's face, who were found in the city, and the scribe, the captain of the army, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land, who were found in the city. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them, and brought them to the king of Babylon, to Riblah. The king of Babylon struck them, and put them to death at Riblah, in the land of Hamath. So Judah was carried away captive out of his land. Gedaliah made governor of Judah. As for the people who were left in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had left, even over them he made Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, governor. Now when all the captains of the forces, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah governor, they came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, even Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and Johanan, the son of Kareah, and Seraiah, the son of Tanhumeth, the Netophathite, and Jaazaniah, the son of Maacathite, they and their men. Gedaliah swore to them and to their men, and said to them, "Don't be afraid because of the servants of the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you." But it happened in the 7th month that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, of the royal seed, came, and 10 men with him, and struck Gedaliah, so that he died, and the Jews and the Chaldeans that were with him at Mizpah. All the people, both small and great, and the captains of the forces, arose and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. Jehoiachin released from prison. It happened in the 7th and 30th year of the captivity of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 27th day of the month, that Evil-Merodach, king of Babylon, in the year that he began to reign, did lift up the head of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, out of prison. And he spoke kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings who were with him in Babylon, and changed his prison garments. Jehoiachin ate bread before him continually, all the days of his life. And for his allowance, there was a continual allowance given him of the king, every day a portion, all the days of his life.